Good morning. I'm Nikiforos Diamandouros. I'm the European Ombudsman. The European Ombudsman is an institution of the European Union that is charged by the treaties with the responsibility of dealing with complaints of citizens of any member state, or even from business and associations having their registered office in any member state, against European institutions. So if somebody has a problem, let's say with the European Commission, which is quite often, or with an agency of the European Union, or with any of the institutions on that, over an issue that concerns EU law or EU rules, then they can come to me and I will then deal with their complaints. I should say that I am obligated by the treaties to receive complaints in any of the 23 languages of the Union. Therefore, you can address me in any language of a member state of the European Union, and I'm obligated to answer in that language and to do it quickly, courteously and effectively. The European Ombudsman receives roughly somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 complaints each year. These are broken down, depending on the year, somewhere between 75% from individuals and 25% from businesses or associations. As I said, it fluctuates a little bit from year to year, but it's roughly there, 75, 25, 80, 20. We try to deal with these complaints as rapidly as possible. We've been able to bring down the average amount of time that it takes us to be able to handle this matter. At present, our average is about 9 months to close a case, which of course means that there are cases that we can close in as little as 3 months, and there are very complex cases which obviously will go more than a year or a year and a half. I think citizens, and particularly civil society organizations which have reason to have contact with European institutions, should know about the European Ombudsman, and should also know that it is very easy to reach the European Ombudsman. As of 2009, the Ombudsman has radically overhauled his website, which we now would like to think is a very friendly website, available in 23 languages again. And in that website we have introduced a very powerful interactive guide. And the purpose of the guide is to be able to help people find the right institution to go to or to complain against the first time around, and therefore spare citizens or NGOs the usual run-around problem of going from one place into another and getting frustrated. We've had very significant positive results with the interactive guide. More than 20,000 individuals have been helped concretely to find the right institution to go to. So the first thing to say is that civil society organizations, all they have to do is go into the website, get into the interactive guide, and they will be guided by questions and answers to arrive at the right way of submitting their complaint. If they don't wish to do that, they can write me an email. More than 60% of the complaints that I receive come through emails, but they could also write me by kind of regular letter or even send me a fax. So we're very flexible about that, and we try to facilitate citizens and civil society organizations in getting to us. Now, the obvious next question might be, what types of complaints does the Ombudsman receive from civil society organizations? And the answer there is we get a very wide range of complaints. I would say to you about 36%, between 30 and 36% of our complaints concern allegations of lack of transparency in the way in which institutions handle their affairs. And lack of transparency could include anything from failure to answer a letter to not providing sufficiently clear information about practices of the institutions, even to negligence and issues like that. So this is one big thing. Another big area that would obviously interest civil society organizations has to do with grants. that the European institutions give out. Okay, occasionally, in fact, grants fellowships and things like that, but also tenders. That there are all sorts of tenders for which small groups, SMEs, civil society organizations compete to be able to provide services to the institutions. Okay, and quite often there are problems which arise in these areas, and people come to the Ombudsman, and we have a pretty good record in being able to solve these things. Let me give you one quick and concrete example of a recent case that I had, which concerned a civil society organization called Migration Policy Group. They had, in fact, had a contract with the Commission. The Commission concluded correctly that this NGO had not submitted some of the materials which it needed to account for its activities on time, and therefore, having missed the deadline, the Commission then went ahead to, in fact, assess a very significant amount of recovery which they would want to take back from the NGO. The NGO came to us, and after the Ombudsman intervened and looked at the matter, we were able to convince the Commission to return to the NGO 70,000 euro, because the materials were eventually submitted. They met all the requirements, and the Commission accepted that this would be, if you please, citizen friendly to be able to do that. So this is a good example of what we have, a very recent case which I think dates from literally last month, from January 2012. Yeah, I think it would be important to remind public stakeholders, including civil society organizations, that we are, and we have been for the past 2 years, in what really amounts to a new era in terms of the relations of institutions with citizens and civil society organizations. And the new era is signaled by the entry into force of the Lisbon Treaty. The Lisbon Treaty explicitly recognizes the obligation of the institutions to engage in systematic dialogue with citizens and civil society organizations, to try to involve them in consultations. It provides for the European Citizens Initiative. There is a large number of instruments through which, in fact, the Lisbon Treaty tries to promote the capacity of citizens and civil society organizations to engage more directly in European affairs. And obviously the European Ombudsman is very centrally involved in that. We very much encourage public consultations. I'll give you another example. In the end of 2011, I had a case where a Spanish citizen complained that a public consultation that had been organized by the Commission gave the option of, gave access to the materials in English only, and the citizen took exception to that, and he came to me, and I concluded that obviously when it comes to public consultations, the public and citizens and civil society organizations need to have the capacity to be able to learn and familiarize themselves about what the consultation is all about. Therefore, I recommended that the Commission should publish the public consultations in all the EU languages, and at least to explain its policy, on this issue, if it diverges from this general rule, if there are, particular reasons, etc., etc. So I think the central message here is we are in the Lisbon Treaty era, and the Lisbon Treaty era provides very, very significant opportunities for civil society to be able to take advantage of the provisions of the treaty, and the Ombudsman is there to be able to ensure that citizens and civil society organizations enjoy their rights fully under the Lisbon Treaty.